Mortality rates have been declining across the world over the past several decades, but progress has been uneven. The greatest declines have been experienced by regions that had higher mortality rates in the past. We are going to review which regions have been leading and which ones have been falling behind. Then we will look at whether the gaps have been decreasing and whether these changes have been even across age groups and by gender.
We can see that the greatest declines have occurred in countries that have experienced very high child mortality rates in the past, especially in Africa, Asia, and Latin America. Even though the overall gap between regions has been decreasing, Asia and Africa remain the regions still showing the highest level of child mortality. In Asia, it is 6 times higher than in Europe, and in Africa, it is 14 times higher than in Europe. When we look back, it used to be 27 and 39 times higher in 1970. Furthermore, between 1990 and 2015, United Nations initiative, the Millennium Development Goals, target of a 2/3 reduction in the under 5 mortality rate was achieved by 62 of the 195 countries with available estimates. Among them, 24 are low and lower middle income countries. Despite these gains, progress remains insufficient to reach this goal globally and in many regions, especially Southern Asia and Sub-Saharan Africa, where an increasing proportion of child deaths occur, namely 30% in Southern Asia and 51% in Sub-Saharan Africa. Early adult mortality rates have also been declining in most countries, and the probability that someone will die between age 15 and 50 has decreased from an 8 to 16% chance in 1970 to a 5 to 7% chance in 2015 in all regions, except Sub-Saharan Africa. Sub-Saharan Africa's adult mortality increased in the 1990s due to the HIV/AIDS epidemic, while several other countries saw no progress or even reversals of earlier progress due to conflicts or due to excessive alcohol consumption, for example, like the vodka crisis in parts of Russia and in some other countries in Eastern Europe. Despite more than a 35% decline in the early adult mortality rate since 1970, adult mortality in Africa remains more than 2 to 3 times higher than in other regions, with a current mortality rate of 16%. There are substantial differences in the mortality rate of each gender between age 15 and 50. Even if we remove the influence of HIV/AIDS mortality and abnormally high maternal mortality, there is a persistent excess male mortality across regions, and it has even been increasing through the decades. Compared to female mortality, male mortality is about 1.2 times higher in Africa, 1.5 times higher in Asia, up to 2.5 times higher in Europe, especially due to Eastern Europe. This may surprise you, as most of the discussion is often about excess female mortality. But males have higher mortality at these ages for the reasons that you learned in earlier weeks: HIV/AIDS and tuberculosis infections, injuries, most notably road traffic accidents, and common use of tobacco in many populations, and binge alcohol drinking in some populations, like Russian men.